In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 techniques of how to keep your feet warm in the cold when you're looking at boots and not freezing your feet off. Number 1, make sure when you buy your boots that you can wiggle your toes. I've seen so many people at the stores being told, literally, oh yeah, it should hold your feet together so they don't move around and shuffle around, and it should grab your foot really well. That's great if you want to freeze your feet. Do not do that. Trust me. Instead, when you get, and this is a trade you have to make, my experience, if you put your feet in, you should be able to kick the boot down, and on the second or third tap, then your toes should touch the front. But if you kick down and your toes touch the front, immediately your boot is too short. But you got to make sure to get the toe box. The toe box is the whole kicker. You need to be able to wiggle your little toes in this box, because if you're having a kind of stretch, that means your toes are being crushed, which prevents circulation, which means your feet are going to get cold. Now, there is a caveat in that typically ski boots are not worn that way. Typically ski boots, the liners are molded to your feet. They should feel pretty snug, and eventually they break in. That's a whole other story. But ski boots for backcountry mountaineering and climbing and that sort of thing, they need to mold to your feet pretty well. But I still prefer to move my toes around. I'll crank the ankles a bit. If I don't have as much performance control, I will accept that rather than freezing my toes off. Tip number 2. When you are done at your hike and you get in your camp, when you get in your tent, make sure to spend the time, get a brush. You don't have to have a big old whisk broom, but just a small brush, and spend the time chiseling off the ice. Get all the ice off the bottom of the boot, get all the ice off the laces, because that ice will tend to freeze the moisture from the sweat in your feet in your boot, and then in the morning you're going to put this glorious ice cube on. It's miserable. I've got my Alpha Mordre Pro boots here. They are sheep leather plus this nylon. The nylon gets a lot of ice on it, and if I fail to chisel the ice off in the morning, I put my foot in the boot and I freeze my feet. So I've learned every day I chisel all the ice off, plus that gives me a chance to inspect the boot to make sure everything's correct. I'm not getting a broken seam or anything like that. Tip number 3, keep your laces and straps and everything only as tight as they need to be. If you follow the usual instructions at a shoe store and out there where they say, crank your laces down, you don't want your foot moving around at all. I don't get these guys. They must hike and be miserable. No, don't do that. When you're hiking uphill, keep the laces on the ankle good and loose and just enough pressure on your feet so they grab your foot, but they don't crush your foot. And then when you're going downhill, snug the ankle up so your foot, you don't get toe bang. Yeah, it's a little thing, toe bang. Not what you were thinking. Naughty. But instead, you snug the laces up so your foot walks down, because if you crank the laces down and you crush your poor little foot, ouch, you're going to prevent blood circulation, and then your feet are going to get cold and you're going to be miserable. So don't over crank your laces. Those have been 3 tips on how to keep your feet warm in the cold. I, in fact, wrote the book, How to Keep Your Feet Warm in the Cold. Check it out in the links in the description below. My name's Aaron Linsdale. I'm a polar explorer and professional adventurer. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can get more info like this.